YouTube feed isn't on, but it looks like it's on to me. Oh, did we not hit go live on YouTube yet? Let's try that. I'm going to hit go live. For whatever reason, YouTube doesn't like going live on time. But that's fine. I think we're live now, so we should be good. Everybody go
like
check
the
out
when they're supposed to start on time.
No, they have started on time. We'll get into that later.
This is now we're, a 3-hour show.
We're up on
ready.
YouTube now. So everybody who I just said to go look and it wasn't working before, Robin Wildy was the one who said it, and Robin was actually over on the YouTube feed also. So, anyways, it should be up now. I see it. It's live. Go do it now. It's great. Anyways, I went to see Ron's Gone Wrong over the weekend. It's a kids movie, ton of fun. Zach Galifianakis is in it. Ed Helms, for anybody who's watched The Office or The Hangover, Ed Helms. Yeah. He's hilarious. The movie was great. It was a interesting spin on some modern technology stuff, social media stuff that was interesting for my girls to watch. They actually took away a few lessons. That's always a good when you when you can take away a couple lessons for the kids.
It's the
also
cheapest learning experience that you can pay for, right? It's that subliminal messaging. What lesson can you take from this, right? That's good. That's good.
So let's get into it. Tonight's episode is brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions. Roxanne and Darnell, they're hanging out with us here over my shoulder every night. They have a great supply chain solutions company. If you're having troubles making sure your company has supplies to make sure you're efficient and on the go, on schedule and on time, they can make sure you got that for you. So head over to rockstar.com, give them a call today. Don't rack your brain figuring out how to make sure your company has everything you need to run your business. So give them a call, check out their website. Great people. And as always, you can ask us anything throughout the evening. We got to get Hulk a new shirt still, but that's okay. Ask us anything.
That's shipping, hey? The shipping
takes
is
forever.
Yeah.
And it just happens that that Hulk is a hard guy to get a hold of. So it's like it makes it harder to get him that shirt. And I keep forgetting. But ask us anything throughout the evening. If you have questions or you want to talk about something that we haven't talked about yet, or ask a question about what we're talking about, send it in throughout the evening. Blow up the comments. The more comments you send, the better our show is. So make sure you send it. Facebook, YouTube. I don't know if the way our Twitter works right now, if you can actually send in comments anymore, because Twitter changed everything. It used to be this website called Periscope, and now it's not that anymore. So
social platforms, just leave stuff alone for like 6 months.
Stop changing.
Stop trying to improve and
all
be
the
better
time
and more efficient.
Or like stop buying out companies and then shutting that company down, like Periscope.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's what happened.
If you hadn't noticed, it was a service provider that was providing excellent service.
And it was doing pretty good. Anyways, if you want to comment in and you are watching on Twitter, head over to our YouTube or Facebook channels. You can do it there. Let's get to the top of the order because there is some heavy stuff to get into tonight. And the first one, we have to talk about this first because it shook the NHL today, and I'm going to say the sports industry in general. The Chicago Blackhawks. So Stan Bowman stepped aside today. There's Stan because he was the general manager back in 2010. Was he the GM? He was the GM.
He was the GM.
For the Chicago Blackhawks in 2010, and there was a sexual abuse scandal that happened at that time. And not only was it swept under the rug for 11 years, but they did an internal investigation in Chicago around the time and basically said, I think the quote was, they found nothing of substance. So now 10 years later, through the investigative journalism work of Rick Westhead and Katie Strang, let's give them massive shout outs for this because they were instrumental in unearthing this story. I'm using lots of big words.
Big words.
But following the findings and the conclusion of this new investigation, it was Connor. What was the law office called? Connor and something, I think. Or Jenner and something. But through the new investigation, they found that there was very much sexual assault events and occurrences, allegations involving a former assistant coach from the Blackhawks in 2010. It was a video coach. His name was Adam. I don't even know his full name. It was Adam something. Aldrich, thank you. Yes.
Don't want to give him too much shine, though. So
that's exactly it, right? Adam, Coach Adam was, he basically took advantage of one of the players who was on the team at the time. And it was well known throughout the organization that it had happened. I think it got reported to some extent. And the team was in a playoff run at the time, and it was their first.
It was Brad Aldrich.
Brad, thank you, not Adam.
Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. It was the first playoff run that the Blackhawks had been involved in a long time. If you recall, they were pretty trash in the 2000s. The 2010s is when the dynasty started, of course. But they were in a playoff run, and they wanted to focus on that and not take negative attention or put negative attention on that. So they pushed it aside, and a lot of other stuff happened because of that. And the player involved's career, his name's John Doe, according to the investigation, because they're trying to keep it as anonymous as possible. His career was essentially ruined after that. He never recovered, and there's a lot in the report that kind of explain the occurrences of what happened and the timelines. And it's 107 pages. I checked. I didn't look at all of them. I read a bunch of reports as much as I could on Twitter today, and it was all over. So if you're just finding out about this, check Twitter, check Google. There's a ton of stuff, and the report is public, so you can go actually read the entire thing. And it is damning. I'll say that to all involved, and it doesn't look good on any of them, including and not limited to. General manager of the Winnipeg Jets, Kevin Cheveldayoff, and head coach of the current Florida Panthers, Joel Quenneville, who was the head coach at the time. Also, Marc Bergevin for the Montreal Canadiens was there. I didn't see him named as often or as much as the other guys, but he was there, very much there. And there were several other high-ranking executives that are still in and around the NHL today that are involved in this. The Chicago Blackhawks were fined $2 million, and Max, I'll let you talk about that in a sec. So you can take over in a minute here because I'm almost done. They were fined $2 million, which I guess they're going to allocate to sexual abuse programs around the Chicago area, which I guess that's good in a sense. But Max, this is a stain on the NHL, this whole thing. And would it have been better if they came out with this 10 years ago? Yeah, but no. Obviously, no. It wouldn't have been better. It would have been, I don't know what you want to say about it, but I don't know, Max. I know you have some thoughts, so I'll let you take over.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of the timeline of when it comes out, this is just horrible events. And as you said, Clark, it's a stain on the NHL as a whole. It's a stain on one of the original 6 franchises who, when you look at, I guess, the league's values and ethics and what they put in terms of the marketing slogans, they didn't live up to any of it in this situation, and especially from the NHL standpoint. It's not to make a joke of it, but we're going to call this the Houston Astros treatment. Obviously, a very different set of circumstances when it comes to the allegations and the crimes that were committed. But when it comes to this situation as a whole, $2 million to a franchise that's worth over $1 billion, this is absolute joke of a penalty. They should be forfeiting something that actually affects the building of this team in the future, draft picks, whatever you want to call it. And regardless of that, the hockey aside, this is somebody's life that we're talking about. This is somebody who, regardless of the career.
And more than one person.
And more than one person as well. But obviously the main subject of this investigation, as you alluded to previously, the John Doe, as it were, the subject of the 107-page investigation findings today. This is somebody's life. This is somebody's, again, we talked about hockey career, but somebody who has to live with this for the rest of their lives. And how do they move on from this, right? It's 11 years later, but at the end of the day, this is still somebody who went through something incredibly traumatic, who you don't wish on anyone. And to see it happening at the highest level when this is a league that takes pride in being role models for kids, the ripple effect it has across the entire NHL. Nobody lived up to anything here in terms of a good
accountability.
Good yeah, zero accountability, exactly. And
team CEO Danny Wirtz said in a quote today that no member of the Hawks senior management team, I think from that time, will be with the organization any longer. So they have either stepped down or been removed from the team, anybody that was involved, because they have been a franchise of continuity. They've kept around several members of that executive staff, and there's several people that were named today that are no longer with the team. And again, it's going to have ripple effects across the league because we've seen it in years past when a team wins, especially like the Blackhawks did for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, I guess it was, assistant general managers get manager spots. Those assistant coaches get coaching spots. Things happen and they move around, and so everybody involved is. We're going to see a statement from the Jets, I believe, within the next couple of days.
Kevin Cheveldayoff, they're unearthing some things that were said at the beginning of this investigation that clearly were not true.
Right. Well, because Cheveldayoff came out and essentially said a couple of months ago, "This is the first time I'm hearing about this."
As did Joel Quenneville.
Quenneville said the same thing. It's the first time I'm hearing about this.
Again, it's just a smearing and an indictment of integrity across a lot of people who were held in very high regard, not just in the Chicago Blackhawks organization, but across the entire NHL. And at the end of the day, you call it what it is, but this is a major lapse in judgment, a major lapse in discipline handed out. Yeah. This is just a bungling all across. And again, like we said, we talk about the hockey side of it. The hockey side of it's really not important at the end of the day.
For reference, too, to add to your bungling of the discipline and the fine and $2 million, when the report came out today, there was comparisons to other things that the NHL has done, handed out fines, etc. When the New Jersey Devils tried to sign Ilya Kovalchuk to that contract that was illegal, they fined them $3 million.
Yeah.
And also, they lost draft picks, I'm pretty sure, for that.
Yep, maybe.
Was that when they tried to get Kovalchuk, when they tried to get him retired, or they tried to retire him or something?
Again, right? I think at the end of the day, whatever the penalty was, you're right. It was $3 million was the basis of that, right? And again, it speaks to, it's kind of, again, a situation where it's relatable. It's all about the hockey when they hand out these fines, right? They're not thinking about the actual individuals that are affected by this outside of the rink, and that's what bugs me about it the most. You look at it, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a horrible situation. And again, for an original six franchise that was a foundational pillar in assisting the league in what it has become today, this is a massive, massive stain across the entire NHL for a variety of reasons. It's hard to put a lot of words to it, and at the end of the day, I feel for John Doe and all of the other people that were impacted by this decision. I think the other biggest thing, Mark Messier said it very, very well before the Predators and Sharks game on the ESPN Plus panel. The thing that is the most sad about this is references were handed out for this individual, the coach in the situation, to have another job and commit similar crimes in another organization. It's just horrible on so many fronts, and how mishandled it was. It makes you shake, right? It hurts as a hockey fan, as somebody who idolizes the NHL, somebody who spends money purchasing gear and purchasing memorabilia and lining the pockets of it. Sometimes it just can't be just about the hockey, and this is exactly what this situation stemmed from. And unfortunately, this is going to be something that it's talked about for a long time. And I really, really hope the NHL revisits what the sanctions and the penalties are going to be handed out here, because
we talked about adds onto it for some reason.
Exactly. We talked about the correlation, right? You mentioned it. And Arizona, I think that was the next situation that you were going to allude to, was they lost draft picks for violating some scouting and some recruitment violations.
The way they did their workouts.
But yet, this only warrants a $2 million fine for an organization worth over $1 billion. It's a joke. And
on top of that, too, and one thing that will be talked about more and more in the coming days, and interesting timing that the Maple Leafs are in Chicago this week. Media, I'm talking about media-wise. The players aren't not at fault here either.
Absolutely.
We talked about this before the show, Max, but players who are still in the league currently were on that team knew about this. Jonathan Tues, Patrick Kane, Duncan Keith. I mean, Brent Seabrook is technically not retired, but he's still around. Guys like Dustin Byfuglien were on that team. Andrew Ladd was on that team.
Leadership from
Chris
top
Versteeg,
to bottom,
I think, was on that team. The list goes on and on. There were some great players, of course. And how much have those players been thinking about that over the last decade? How much has that led to some issues that maybe we weren't aware of that it was connected to? So that's probably going to come out more and more in the next couple of days, especially, like I said, Jonathan Tues and Patrick Kane are both not playing Wednesday night against the Maple Leafs because of COVID reasons. Interesting timing. But they are still available for the media, so I'm sure that they're going to be answering questions about this soon, and more will come out of this of the next couple of days. But again, I'm going to speak for you, I think, in saying this, but again, thank you to Rick Westhead, Katie Strang, and all the journalists that were involved in bringing this up and, kind of bringing this to I don't know if it's done yet, but bringing this to some sort of justice and some sort of
For bringing it out of the dark.
Conclusion. Bringing it out of the dark, exactly, and bringing light to it. Thank you, Max. That's a good way to segue this. And whenever we talk about a heavy subject like this, it's always hard to change topics. So let's just take a second. The World Series, is starting tonight, and the Atlanta Braves, we're getting reports from our viewers. Let's just look at it. Aaron Matthews is checking in. He's giving us the updates. 5-0 for the Atlanta Braves. What inning are we in?
Gotta love it.
What inning are we in?
We're looking at the top of the third. They're getting on early.
So it's 5-0 for the Braves.
Yeah.
And me and Max, I think we're both in agreement that we are cheering for the Atlanta Braves in this series.
Without a doubt.
The Houston Astros have been in the World Series, I think, 3 of the last 4 years.
4 of the last 5.
4 of the last 5?
Yeah.
And the Braves have been an organization that have built the right way. They've drafted, they've developed, they've waited.
Ton of Blue Jays ties.
A lot of Alex Anthopoulos is there. Exactly. There's Canadian Mike Soroka, who's hurt, but he's there.
I think
Freddie Freeman.
That's the most amazing thing, though. And again, we talked about it off air,
he's
right?
the ace, and he's not there.
Mike Soroka's not there. Ronald Acuna Jr. is not there. But I think for Jays fans, for fellow Jays fans of this program that we love and hold near and dear, let's just say this. Remember back in May, Clark?
Yep.
The Atlanta Braves and the Toronto Blue Jays played a 3-game set.
Yeah.
Toronto Blue Jays swept them. So, I mean, take from it what you will.
And we had Ross Stripling on from Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly. We had him from Atlanta. Basically, what I'm saying is, though, Toronto Blue Jays sweep the Atlanta Braves. Toronto Blue Jays could be in the World Series right now. I think that's what you just take continuously from the narrative that was that sweep back in May.
It's math.
It's just math, right?
It's science, yeah.
It's just a series sweep that ultimately should have us in the World Series. But Alex Anthopoulos
Does it make
is there,
you feel better or worse about the Jays season?
I just want to bring up that, hey, they swept the potential World Series champions back in May. So
in May.
Essentially, they should get like a quarter of a ring for
which
that,
means
right?
they would have swept them in October.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Zero question about that.
So anyways, we're excited to see how that series goes, and the games are coming in hot and fast. We're going to be by next episode, we're going to be on Game 6.
Yeah.
So if it gets to Game 6, we'll be talking about Game 6 next week on this episode, on this show, on this program. So, Max, do you want to queue up the next topic? Because it's kind of a tough one.
I certainly could. You know what? As you alluded to right off the top of the program here, Clark, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh.
They're a hockey team in the NHL. I don't know if anybody's heard of them. They lost to a team on the weekend that's
the logo.
Yeah, that is the logo.
That's it.
With a big
Rolf nailed that one
with a nice transparent border around it with nothing behind it. Hey, it speaks to the all or nothing program that was released on Amazon Prime. So Clark, the Toronto Maple Leafs. Do you have a couple of thoughts on what it's been like the last week?
Yeah, a little bit. So they were 2-2-1 going into the weekend. They are now not 2-2-1. They were 2-1-1 going into the weekend, and now they're 2-4-1. They've played 3 games in 4 nights. None of them went great. They played the Sharks on Friday, and everyone thought that was going to be a win because the Sharks were on a back-to-back. They lost that one. They played the Pittsburgh Penguins without multiple of their stars players the next night.
Hold on a second, Clark. They didn't have Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Brian Rust, Jeff Carter, or Chris Letang. They were missing their entire first power play unit.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good 5 guys.
That's good 5
and
guys.
Tristan Jarry was not even sure if he was going to play, and then he did. So you can count like half of that, I guess. And the Penguins beat them 7-1 in one of the most embarrassing losses, at least this season. But it's the list
always
is
3 or 4.
The list is starting to pile up when it comes to embarrassing Leaf losses. So I guess that was one of them. Of all of them, that was one of them. And then on Monday, they played again their 3rd game in 4 nights, which is never easy to begin with. But then all the pressure and everything going poorly.
Stop making excuses
on top of that,
them,
I'm
Clark.
not. I'm adding to it. They go into Carolina, and hey, Carolina, we're going to talk about them in about 2 minutes here. They are a very good hockey team, but they beat the Leafs 4-1.
Didn't even need David Ayers.
Didn't need David. He was in the building, though. Did you notice?
Yep.
He was there. But it's
you lost that game as soon as he walked into the building.
Well, no, we lost
over.
that game 10 minutes in when they just decided to stop playing hockey because they were up 1-0, and then second period came along too, and the Canes got a little hot, and the Leafs just decided, well, I guess we're done here. And we'll just get ready for...
Well, that's all we got, folks.
Get ready for Chicago. When Chicago is a bigger distraction than us being bad now, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to outweigh that.
So So yeah, it's not going great, and there's a lot of it's a comedy of errors at this point. Really, it truly is. I mean, Murphy's. I texted Max this during the night of the Pittsburgh game, and I said it's just Murphy's law. What can go wrong will tonight. Everything's going wrong. The puck was bouncing all over the place. Jack Campbell was getting scored on, but with goals that had no business going into the net, and they did. And it was just that type of night against the Penguins, and it looked awful. They played awful. Everything was bad. And the narrative around the team right now, Max, you can attest to this living in Canada, but of the crazy Leaf fan nation that already exists, it's like a whole new level this last couple of weeks, and dating back to, I'll say, the playoff loss to Montreal for good reason. But right now, it is panic mode times 20, and I am of the mindset, and again, coming from a junior hockey background, you know, it's you change your mindset when you work for teams where, you know, you can't panic constantly. You can't. You just can't, or else your whole team is going to suffer from it. You can't get too high on a win. You can't get too low on a loss. And I think the players are doing a decent job of that from what they're saying in the media, but we don't know that for sure. It seems like at the first sign of anything bad happening right now, it shuts down. They shut down, and I don't know what's going on, but there needs to be a seance. There needs to be
there needs to be a behind closed doors team meeting, players only.
Yeah,
all the cliches.
They need to bring out the Ouija board. They need to have Jason Spezza and John Tavares.
Jason Spezza doesn't need to show up to the meeting. He's doing fine.
Well, he's good. You're right, but they need to have all the team in there, a bunch of candles. And they need to connect with the spirits that are haunting them, because
the hockey gods.
Something's going on with that team that is much deeper than performance on the ice, and it is something that they need to figure out fast, or else this season is going to go into the toilet. And you know, it's going to be change time, and it's change season coming up for the Leafs. And we talked about this before the show, but it's getting to a point where we're questioning, you know, is Kyle Dubas going to even have time to make trades to make this any better if it comes to that? Is he going to get fired before he can even do anything about it? And that's going to be the storyline going forward. I don't know if I need to talk too much more about the Leafs, because I already see that engineer Rolf is putting memes in the script. And I'm sure he has it loaded up in the system. Rolf, if you want to put that up, you can. I'm sure you have it somewhere. There it is. I have a dream that one day the Leafs will just make the playoffs even at this point.
Wow.
That's where some people's heads are at.
That's where it's at.
Anyways, the next topic of conversation is Freddie Anderson.
I get nothing?
Do you want to say something?
Well,
I was going to let you talk about Freddie Anderson.
I literally had it. It says Max has thoughts when you rap.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, you didn't see that. Of course you did.
Okay,
anyway.
So Max, what are your thoughts?
I only have a quick thought. We put it up on social media, right? Our hero, Sir Jeff Merrick. We're going to give him the knighting title because we love Jeff Merrick. He kind of nailed it on his show last week.
I'd love to have him on our show.
Love to have him on our show. Jeff, if you're listening.
Jeff.
Love to have him.
I know he's watching. Jeff.
But he nailed it. It's in Canadian markets, especially in Montreal, who got off the schneid on Saturday against the Wings. But for Toronto, like you said, it seems like the sky is falling. It's not just one 82-game season for the teams in these markets. It feels like it's 82 one-game seasons.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you couldn't put it more eloquently than that. That's a perfect description of what it is. The sky is falling if they lose, and even when they win, there's criticisms of how they would have played differently. Oh, they beat a team that was sub 500. Again, like there's just no off switch for these guys that play for this team, and that's why they earn big bucks, and that's why they're treated like royalty when they win. But it makes it increasingly difficult to win. And I don't know if you change that in the hockey rabbit market that is Toronto, but that's really what I got for the thought on it. But Clark, Freddie Anderson, would you have paid him or not?
Well, hindsight's always 2020.
Of course.
Here's the thing. He was coming off 2 dreadful seasons, regular seasons.
Yes.
And then on top of that, the team itself couldn't get past the first round with Freddie Anderson, and he wanted to be paid the same amount of money, and he ended up getting almost the same amount of money. And the thing about Freddie is he's a guy who doesn't like giving up the crease, and we don't need to go too into detail because I've been told Jim Lang is logged in, so we want to make sure we get to Jim. But he's a guy who didn't like to give up the crease, and you know what? Jim can attest to this because he's living in the area. But you know, he was clearly hurt for over a year in Toronto, and he refused to give up games, and it kept lingering and lingering. You could tell he was one of the best goalies in the league, top 10 in his first 3 seasons in Toronto. And then for some reason, all of a sudden, he wasn't good anymore, even though the team was improving defensively, slowly, but they did. And he was still putting up 900 save percentages, which isn't good enough in this league to do anything with. And Jack Campbell, frankly, won the spot. So Jack Campbell's going to be the starter, and you're going to pay Freddie Anderson 4.5 to push his way back into the crease, which I guess, some internal competition isn't bad. But Peter Mrazek is coming in now for less money. Not much less, but still less. And he's been a tandem goalie his whole career. So
Isn't he hurt already?
First game. First game, Max. 2 periods
Anyway,
in. Didn't finish his first game.
Didn't finish his first game. Either way,
but hypothetically, Mrazek's role is something that he's done his whole career, whereas I don't know if Freddie Anderson was ready to be a tandem goalie, even though he's with Antti Ranta.
And I think that we talked about it off air, right? Like, this is where it's getting out of the eye of the storm, ironically going to the Carolina Hurricanes.
Hey,
that was the media of Toronto.
Yeah.
It's a small sample size, but he's 5-0. He seems to be loving life in Raleigh. So for Freddie Anderson, it's a guy that, again, as a Leaf fan, you cheer for. Right?
I was
you
a
still
big
want
Freddie
him to
guy.
do well.
I was a big Freddie guy.
Yeah.
I was defending him when a lot of people were trashing him. So I will
100%.
say that I'm super pumped that he's doing well, and hope he still does well the rest of the year. Hope he does great.
Absolutely.
We'll do some rapid fire here because we got to get to a break. The first time in NHL history that 4 teams have started out 5-0. That seems crazy. That's
I know, right?
The first time.
League's been around for a while.
The aforementioned Carolina Hurricanes. We do have a graphic for this one, gentlemen. The Panthers, the Oilers, the Blues, and the aforementioned Carolina Hurricanes are all 5-0, or at least 5-0 to start the season. So that's pretty cool. I wouldn't have guessed that. I could have swore you would have thought that there'd be more than. I guess back when there was only 6 teams, it was pretty hard for 4 teams to go 5-0.
Little tough.
But so, anyways,
somewhere along the way, you would have figured 4 would have gotten off to that kind of start. Though. You're right, for sure. The league has expanded since those days.
Week 7 in the NFL is wrapped up, and we'll get to that with Jim Lang coming up here, and also Week 8. We're going to look ahead to that as well. So we'll skip that part and come back with Jim with that one. The NBA is off to a fast start across the association, with the Raptors off to a 1-3 start. Not great. But, Max, you're pretty pumped about this Scotty Barnes kid.
Yeah.
We've talked to Hoop Life about this. Andrew Gottslig told us about it, Scotty Barnes. He is an exciting guy, and everything I've heard is the Raptors fan base is absolutely jazzed up that he is a Raptor. He's got 16.8 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game through the first 4 games. So for the 4th overall pick, it's only up from there. That's a pretty good starting foundation.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I love the fact that they're playing small ball. I talked to Andrew Gottslig about this a couple weeks ago. But the fact that they are playing small ball, like they don't have a guy over 6'10", over 6'9", I think. And everybody's athletic, and everybody can run, and everybody can shoot to some extent, and everybody can rebound. And it's an interesting way to do it. And I'm actually curious if this 1-3 start will flip around.
And you know what we talk about, right? Like the Toronto market as a whole, right? I think the Raptors might, again, because they've won a championship. This is what a championship earns you, is a little bit of a grace period with the fans. Kind of whatever they do this year, as long as Scotty Barnes is playing well and showing improvement, as long as Pascal Siakam plays, who knows if he's going to get dealt or moved or whatever. The ball's kind of in the Raptors' court. At the end of the day, whatever happens this year. If they end up with another lottery pick, it just kind of cements that they're still a team on the rise.
Yeah.
We know that last year was obviously a mulligan with them playing their home games in Tampa, but you can tell that the basketball community in Toronto is just incredibly excited to have these guys back. Win, lose, draw, they're just out there to watch the Raptors. And it's, again, right, it's the grace period that a championship earns you. So
absolutely. The top of the order is brought to you by our friends at Hoop Life Basketball. Head over to your app store today and download their easy-to-use basketball training program right in your hands, Hoop Life Basketball Plus. Use promo code SQUAD10 for 10% off of camps, sessions, apparel, great apparel. We still need to get more of that stuff. And a whole lot more over at hooplifebasketball.com. Again, that's SQUAD10 promo code. We're going to take a 2-minute break. We'll be back with Jim Lang. We got Blue Jays news later. We got more NFL talk and NHL talk coming up, so stick around. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Everyday hoop life.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. IKS Live, the proud producer of The Rod Peterson Show and The Recovery Hour. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com. Every time, it gets me going. I'm going to assume that our next guest is over in his house headbanging right now also. We're heading out now. We're going to bring in he's been dubbed Canada's foremost NFL expert, Max, by our good friend Rod Peterson, among others. But with he has ties to the CFL, which we'll get into right away. A strong NHL fan himself, and also a best-selling author. Just throw that in there. We're bringing in, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SquadCast, Jim Lang. Jim, welcome to the show tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We're going to jump right into a whole bunch of stuff, but I want to start with the CFL because we forgot to mention it because there was so much going on with the Blackhawks and, man, everything else going on. But there was a trade in the CFL today. Nick Arbuckle went from your beloved Toronto Argonauts out west to the Edmonton Elks, and it has some people scratching their heads. It has some people wondering, what's going on? What's the story behind this? Do you have any thoughts on the Arbuckle to the Elks trade?
I hate to say it, not really. I mean, around this market between the Leafs Nation freaking out, the NFL news, the Blackhawk news, this really didn't make much of a ripple in the news cycle in Toronto sports, to be honest with you.
I need your quick synopsis on what's going on with the Leafs, because we just talked about it for a few minutes, but
yeah, I heard. Yeah,
it's hard to make sense of for me, Jim, and I'm a pretty devout fan myself. So, what are your thoughts?
It's pretty simple. They don't have good enough goaltending to be an elite team in the National Hockey League. The best teams in the NHL have Connor Hellebuck and Vasilevsky, and you can't win in the NHL now without an elite level goalie. Carey took a team all the way to the Cup final and covered up for a lot of their sins because he was so good last year. So to me, that's the big difference is the Maple Leafs get that kind of goalie who can stop a streak, who can turn a bad game into a good one. They're always going to be like this. Mitch Marner's making almost $11 million a year, but plays when he wants to. And if your best players are not your best players and you don't have an elite goalie, this is the result you get. I mean, you can just look down the teams around the NHL and why they win and why they lose on a consistent basis. Well, it's because Nathan McKinnon is Nathan McKinnon. And that's why Colorado plays the way they do. Every team in the league. But it all comes down, especially now in the NHL and goaltending, because defensemen, basically with the rules are set up, they can't do anything to stop forwards. So your goalie has to be almost so important, more important than ever before. When the Leafs were at their best in the late 90s and the early mid-2000s, it was Curtis Joseph, then it was Eddie Belfour. And they were unbelievable every night, and they were one of the top goalies in the league. There was no one in the last few years in the Leafs goaltending situation that you would put on the national team of their respective countries. How do you expect them to lead the Leafs to being a great team in the NHL and win the postseason if they don't have that kind of goaltending? It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Jim. And I mean, obviously a stark contrast, but we'll maybe make our way over to the gridiron anyways. And what has been a very interesting 7 weeks, to say the least, to open the NFL season. I'm very curious, though, heading into week 8 and what would traditionally be the halfway point of the season, but with 17 games on the schedule, obviously it's a little bit different this year. Which of your preseason predictions have been blown up the worst so far through 7 weeks in the National Football League?
I'm stunned how bad Miami's playing. I mean, I know injuries are part of it, but it's just like they just collapsed and imploded. And for Brian Flores and that organization, it's been horrible. I knew Arizona was going to be good this year. I'm a big Kyler Murray fan. I didn't think they would be this good. Their defense, Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, the top to bottom, the depth, and picking up Zach Ertz was a fantastic pickup. And now Thursday, they face the Green Bay Packers, who won't have Devontae Adams because of COVID protocols. And they won't have Eddie Lazard because of COVID protocols. Now, Aaron Rodgers has been phenomenal this year, but he's missing 2 big pieces of his offense. But time and time again, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are told, well, this is the game they're going to lose, and they win. And J.J. Watt has fit in seamlessly with their defense. I mean, I knew they were going to be good, but they're even better than I expected them. It's been amazing to watch.
Yeah, across the board. Obviously, myself being an LA Rams fan, I was certainly hoping they'd be atop the division. But man, the Cardinals are just playing some incredible football, top to bottom. Kyler Murray is an absolute cheat code under center for that team right now. But I guess making your way back to the start of the statement there with the Miami Dolphins, what do you make of the intensified talk so far for Deshaun Watson? Are we going to see him under center for the Dolphins this year? Is this just a lot of smoke and mirrors and kind of a boring part of the news cycle? What do you make of Deshaun and the news that he's kind of been brought up in this week?
It's not smoke and mirrors. I mean, if Miami doesn't get him, there's a lot of talk that the Carolina Panthers are going to go for it. So there's a couple teams in the NFL that would hold their nose at the past indiscretions of Deshaun Watson and acquire him. I mean, this goes back to what Jimmy Johnson said when he coached for the Dallas Cowboys, and some reporters asked him about some of the off-field antics of some of his players, and he's still like, I don't care, I'm here to win football games. It is such a ruthless win or you're fired business that teams make moves that on paper are distasteful for a lot of people, considering some of the allegations. But the coaches and the management are like, if he can help us win and I keep my job and we keep winning and go to the playoffs, then they can justify it. So either Carolina or Miami are probably going to make the deal. What seems to be the hang-up now is to make sure that some of the legal woes hanging over Deshaun Watson won't impede a trade, that he'll be allowed to play for the respective teams, and to make sure that they trade draft picks to Houston to get Deshaun Watson, and then Watson can't play, then it's a wasted deal. So the teams that are really going after Miami and Carolina are making sure that if they do make a run for Deshaun Watson, that he can play for the team the rest of the year.
Sure. Absolutely. And to a fault, sometimes football is kind of a sport where there's a culture of, if you can play, it almost doesn't matter what you did in the past.
You seem to be seeing it in all sports these days.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah. But I mean, culture works both ways. I mean, I look at what Zach Taylor is doing with Cincinnati. I look at what Brandon Staley's doing with the Chargers. Cliff Kingsbury, what he's doing with Arizona. They're young coaches. They have young quarterbacks, and they're building a culture of winning from the ground up. And there's a right way to do it. And I think the Bengals have been a laughingstock for so long, and the way they've played this year, no one's laughing at them now. And Jamar Chase, unless he breaks his leg, is the Rookie of the Year in the National Football League. And Justin Herbert has been lights out this year. And the Cardinals are worthy of being the last undefeated team in the National Football League. So there is a right way to build the foundation, to build the kind of team that you want to build. I mean, this is the one thing that's carried the Pittsburgh Steelers for so long. They've had 3 head coaches since 1969, because that's how they want it. They're all about stability, and this is how you play football in Pittsburgh. And they call it the standard is the standard. Like there's no deviating from it. So there is a right way to do things in pro sports, and so I know some teams get desperate. They'll make a deal, and then things will come out, and they'll try to put a spin on it. But we should praise the teams that are doing it the right way and drafting the right people and building them and putting them in a position to win. And we're seeing some examples of that in the NFL this year.
And we're seeing it, like you alluded to earlier, Jim. It's Joe Burrow. He may officially be the new Tiger King, right? With a 41-17 decision over the Baltimore Ravens. And again, another superstar in the game in Lamar Jackson. I think you kind of already answered it, but again, I want you to go forward a little bit further on them. But for the first time in a very long time, are the Bengals good?
Can we start calling Joe Burrow Joe Exotic from here on out?
Oh, crazy not to.
We got it.
You can call them what you want. The Bengals are good. They're surprisingly good on defense. And what's interesting about the Bengals is, I mean, I was a little surprised they didn't go after a top-flight offensive lineman because Burrow had the knee injury.
Right.
And he got sacked a lot. But Zach Taylor and the coaching staff and management said Jamar Chase is too good to pass up because of his past relationship with Joe Burrow at LSU, and it's paying huge dividends for them. And there are times that Jamar Chase is you can't cover him. I mean, these are experienced DBs in the NFL that can't handle him in the open field. So now Cincinnati going forward can go heavy on the offensive line in next year's draft and then also beef up their defense. Because when it comes to skill players, they are getting really, really deep and really talented. And I like what Cincinnati's doing here. And now it puts a lot of pressure on John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens that they're not running away with the division. It very well could come down to Cincinnati and Baltimore in the 17th and final regular season game to see who's the division winner. And I think that's good for football.
Well, it's great. And they had Penei Sewell on the board, like you mentioned, and they decided to pick Jamar Chase instead, right? That was the swap, and everyone thought they were going to go with the O-lineman. Interesting, and it seems to have worked out so far, but it's early in that career, so we'll see. Jim, Thomas Brady, he's a decent football player, and he seems to just defy the laws of physics and time. As he just threw his 600th touchdown. He's leading the league in passing yards. The Bucks are 6-1 at this point.
6-1, yeah.
So let's just a two-part question, hypothetical to start, and then I want your thoughts on this. But hypothetical, you caught the touchdown ball. You had the touchdown ball in your possession as the person did. What would you request to give the ball back? And then part two is, where do the Bucks fit? Because the NFC has some strong teams. Where do the Bucks fit in the hierarchy of teams in the NFC?
Well, I mean, if it was me getting the ball, I mean, I've heard some people, Mike Greenberg for ESPN, saying he should have got $500,000. Like, I'm not wired that way. I'd be happy to get autographed swag, get some season passes for the rest of the game, and get a photo with like Tom Brady. Like, I mean, how much do you want? Like, that's you're a fan. It's not a financial transaction. So I'm just not wired that way. I don't get that. But as far as the Buccaneers, this is the problem with the NFC. Cardinals, Buccaneers, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, all elite teams in the NFC. All of them.
And the Atlanta Falcons.
But the top five teams, all five of them are capable of going to the Super Bowl. Now, here's what helps Tom Brady, the Buccaneers. Their offense, we don't have to worry about, but their defensive secondary is ravaged by injuries. So they are going to get healthy, and that secondary will be healthy towards the second half of the season. Now, if they're 6-1 with a secondary that's held together by duct tape and glue, they're going to be a much better team and a much tougher team to deal with in the second half of the season. And, and so to me, that helps them a lot. They're going to win the division. It's not a question for the NFC South. It's a matter of where they seed in the playoffs, because it's going to be a real nasty dogfight to see who gets the top seed in the NFC playoffs, because all of those teams I mentioned, the top five teams, are capable of having the number one seed in the NFC, because there's really no margin for error for a lot of those teams when they're going head to head, because it may be like 15-2 or 14-3, and that's not good enough to be the number one seed in the NFC. That's the kind of elite teams that you're seeing in the NFC this year.
It still feels so weird to hear 14-3 and think that that's a correct record. But don't look now, Jim. But the Atlanta Falcons, they've won 2 in a row. They're 3-3 heading into a weekend matchup against the 3-4 Carolina Panthers. Now, that my question's not about the Falcons. We don't have to get into the Falcons. Goodness. But there's several teams, Jim, that we typically don't see under 500 or around 500 at this point in the season. I'm thinking the Kansas City Chiefs, Pittsburgh Steelers. There's some others around the league. What's a team that you think is just primed to turn it on in the second half and get right back to the top, or maybe surprise some of us for a team that maybe hasn't been there, but they're ready in the second half? Here they come.
I think you should keep an eye on the New England Patriots.
Ooh.
And Bill Belichick knows how to coach a defense, and Mac Jones is getting very, very comfortable in the Patriots offense. So keep an eye on them. The Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich, I'm a big, big fan of his coaching staff, and Jonathan Taylor is an outstanding, underrated running back, and fantasy football players know about how good he is on a week-to-week basis. So, and they have a pretty favorable schedule coming down the stretch. The big question for everyone is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now think about this, how bad the Jets are. As bad as the Jets are, they've allowed 28 fewer points, 28, than the Chiefs so far this year. Jeez. So Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense, they are on a pace to, well, I think they will be well over 500 points this year at the pace they're going at. I mean, it's staggering the amount of points they're giving up. So if Andy Reid and that coaching staff can somehow find a way to plug the leaks in that defense, and I would have to think they're going to be a player of the NFL trade deadline to get some help on that defense, then they have a chance to turn it around because Patrick Mahomes and the offense has so much talent. There's too much talent in the Kansas City Chiefs offense to be under 500 by the end of the season. So I expect them to go on a bit of a run. It all comes down to Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, and that Chiefs coaching staff trying to figure out what is wrong with their defense, because it's not just they're giving up points. They're giving up a staggering number of points. They're putting so much pressure on Mahomes and the offense, it's impossible. They're asking them to score up like 35, 40 points a game to overcome the defense. I mean, and as good as the Chiefs are, that's just not feasible in the National Football League.
And, they are a team that hasn't had a bye week yet. They strike me as a team where, give them a bye week, let them kind of take a outside look at themselves, and then maybe that's all they need to figure some stuff out.
Yeah, 100%.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers real quick, and I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, depending on their health and where they're at, because TJ Watt is such a game-changing defensive player, they have a chance to make some noise in the second half as well. Sorry about that, Maxie.
Oh, no, not a problem there, Jim. I was just going to say, Patrick Mahomes, we're seeing a rough patch for him that we haven't seen since he entered the NFL with 16 interceptions in his last 16 games. This is Jameis Winston and Tampa type numbers, and we're just not used to seeing this.
Now, you have to remember, and I hope your viewers are remembering, that the National Football League, it's not just the players, the coaches. This is a Tuesday night. A coach in the National Football League has got maybe 3-4 hours left of film work to go in the evening. I mean, they're just getting warmed up, and all they're doing is looking at what they call tells. What tell does that player give you to give a cue to move to a different spot in the field so you can counteract what they're doing and beat them? Now, by now, every coach in the league and every player in the league kind of has a good playbook and a good handle on what Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense is doing now. So if defenses are trying to figure out Patrick Mahomes, and he's throwing that many interceptions this year, interception every game this year, then that maybe Eric Bieniemy and the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs and the coaching staff have got to tweak some things. So obviously what had been working so well, teams around the league are beginning to figure it out. So it's the chess game. So you have to adjust to it. Otherwise, they're going to keep figuring you out.
We got a question here from a viewer. This is from Myron. He's in the Toronto area, and he asks, if the Lions, Jets, Texans, and Jaguars were in a division together, who would even win that division?
I would say the Lions.
Okay.
I think the Lions are better than their record. I like Dan Campbell. The Jaguars have a good running game. The Jets, I feel so bad for them. It is. I was thinking about this week when I was writing my 10 thoughts for Rod Peterson, that they had to desperately make a trade with Joe Flacco. So they gave the Eagles, who already have a ton of draft picks going into next year, even more draft picks to work with. They had to give up draft picks to get Joe Flacco to stop the bleeding because Zach Wilson is hurt. And Robert Saleh waited all this time to be a head coach. And he's still got 10 games left in the regular season. And I mean, at this point right now, I know the Jets practice facility is in New Jersey. It's a beautiful facility. And I can just imagine Robert Saleh sitting in his office with his head in his hand thinking, how do I fix this? Because he doesn't have good enough players. And he's a new head coach. And I know Jimmy Johnson went 1-15 his first year as a head coach in the NFL, but he had Troy Aikman and he had Michael Irvin and he had Daryl Moose Johnson. He had Emmitt Smith. I don't see that yet with the Jets. I mean, even if the Jets were in that all bad division, Myron, they'd still be the Jets.
Joe Flacco is coming back to town, so maybe that's the answer. Maybe they needed Joe Flacco back in town.
It's if nothing else, is to try and cover some spreads, because that's about all it's going to be good for, unfortunately. But
yeah, it's good for the gamblers. Yeah,
100%. And Jim, we kind of talked about a little bit earlier with the Chiefs being a prime candidate to maybe do some bolstering with the NFL trade deadline coming up on November 2nd. Do you have a couple of other teams that are maybe positioning themselves? Obviously, the Rams trading Kenny Young yesterday to the Denver Broncos. They're trying to clear a little bit of cap space to maybe help out the secondary. Do you see the Rams maybe being a team that is going to do something at the deadline, or are there a couple of other teams that really jump out at you as contenders to maybe solidify themselves for the playoff push in the final 10 games here?
I keep looking at the Cleveland Browns, and a good team that's had a lot of injuries. Yes. They were down. They got lucky last Thursday with Ernest Johnson. He was their third string running back, at a great game, but they're not going to get lucky every week. And Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, they have flashes of hey, this is a good team. Like they're four. You talk about a bubble team. They're 4-3, and the playoffs are well within their grasp. And what do they need? Because Myles Garrett is an elite level defensive lineman. So what do they need at the deadline? And I could see the Browns being a player because they're a bubble team. The AFC, it's very, very tight, and there's going to be teams that are going 9-8. Or 10-7 making the playoffs. So that is Cleveland's more than capable of doing that this year. But with so many injuries and so many key players, they do need help. So I can totally see Cleveland trying to make a move at the deadline just to patch some of the wounds they have all throughout their lineup.
Yeah, 100%. It's been a team that's been ravaged, and what a story with Ernest Johnson too. It's just been incredible to kind of watch how that unfolded and seeing the screenshots of the Instagram messages he was sending out to XFL teams. It's quite a cool story. You always cheer for those guys, right? And Jim, greatly appreciate your time tonight. I got one more for you here, and this might be a bit of a loaded one. But how big of a mess are we talking about here in Chicago? Like, is major change inevitable for the front office and coaching staff? Is it going to occur in season? Is this something that waits till the end? Does Justin Fields need to set the all-time get-sacked record before Matt Nagy is finally sacked? Just what's going on in Chicago?
Man, if I knew that, I should be prime minister. First of all, I keep looking at the Chicago Bears, and what a waste of a great defense.
Put that defense in Kansas City, and then we're talking about something special here.
And exactly. Now, Justin Fields, who I think has got a lot of upside and could be a good quarterback in this league, needs to be put in the best position to win. And, if you need to sometimes tailor your offensive playbook to the player you're putting in there. I can remember many years ago when Russell Wilson was a rookie with the Seahawks and Pete Carroll and the coaching staff, they pared down the playbook until he was ready to expand it, and he became one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. Justin Fields is not Aaron Rodgers. So don't make him be Aaron Rodgers. Let him be Justin Fields until he's ready to be more than that. And so that's part of the problem to me in Chicago is make a game plan that caters to Justin Fields' strengths. So what he does well. You see him every day in practice. You scouted him. So make a game plan that plays to his strengths. You're going to have good special teams. You can't miss any field goals. Play for field position, tight defense, tight games. That's how you're going to win. But as far as you mentioned Matt Nagy, I don't think he's the answer. I mean, Chicago and their front office have got to look seriously about where are they going to go, because they're looking at Zach Taylor in Cincinnati and Brandon Staley in San Diego and some of these young coaches around the league and going, why don't we have a Cliff Kingsbury? And why don't we have a coach like that? Because look what they're doing with their team. And they took a young athletic quarterback like Kyler Murray, groomed him, and put him in a position where he's an MVP candidate. So if you've got a guy like Justin Fields, build the offense and build the team around him. That's why you drafted a guy like that of Ohio State. So if Matt Nagy can't do it, I got news for you. There's a lot of good coaches. I mean, I look at Rich Bisaccia, who's been coaching for almost 40 years and has never been a head coach in the NFL until he took over the Raiders, and he's 2-0. So there are a lot of good coaches as assistants in the NFL or coaching in the NCAA or the CFL who would love to coach the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields and probably would be able to build an offense around him. So as far as I'm concerned, Matt Nagy is not the answer at Chicago. I've had questions about him for the last number of years, and I'm surprised he's still there, quite frankly, to be honest with you. So this goes down to the front office of the Bears in the offseason and having a sort of a come-to-Jesus moment and go, what do we do for the future in the long term? Because as long as Aaron Rodgers is in that division, they're playing for the wild card.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you mentioned NCAA coaches, Jim. We'll let you go after this, but did you see the quote from Mike Tomlin? I think it was today.
Yes, it was.
That was iconic. Like, talk about shutting down a rumor. Do you think he's going to USC? No, he's not going anywhere. I've been lucky enough to interview the man a number of times, in group sessions in Pittsburgh and at Super Bowls. He's part of the legacy. Chuck Noll, and then I have Bill Cowher, and I have Mike Tomlin, and all three coaches have Super Bowl rings, and they don't like change in Pittsburgh. And usually what happens is when these Pittsburgh coaches leave, they retire from football. I mean, Chuck Noll never coached anywhere else, and neither did Bill Cowher. Yeah. And Bill Cowher went to CBS. He's still there. And there's always been rumors that Bill Cowher's going to go back to coaching. He's like, I don't know where they came from. They didn't come from me. So maybe the same people that said that Mike Tomlin was going to USC.
As far as I know, Mike Tomlin is happy and very happy in Pittsburgh. They're happy to have him. And he's going to keep coaching there until probably he decides, I don't want to coach anymore, and then work at ESPN or NBC Sports or something, because, I mean, they just don't make changes like that in Pittsburgh. That organization is famous for that. And, but the thing with Pittsburgh is, what is their next step? Because the Ben Roethlisberger era is coming to an end, and he's had a phenomenal run, but now they have to start looking at what's next in Pittsburgh. And I can't see the ownership and management of the Steelers not giving Mike Tomlin a chance to succeed with the next phase of the Steelers' bloodline when it comes to their great quarterbacks.
Yeah, when I think of Pittsburgh, I think of steel production. I think of ketchup and mustard, Heinz, of course, and job security for the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Sidney Crosby's up there, too.
Mario Lemieux, yeah. But anyways, Jim, we're going to let you go. Have a good evening, and thank you so much for jumping in tonight. An exciting week 8's ahead of us, and the rest of the second half, maybe we'll catch up, after the trade deadline, after some stuff is kind of settled in and we're in the playoff hunt. So enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks a ton, Jim.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me on. Go Leafs, go.
Absolutely. Please. All right. Thanks, Jim.
Bye.
As always, our video chat guests are brought to you by IKS Media. Always the best seat in the house with IKS Media if you need event production, a live event planning, broadcasts, video screens, so much more. Graphic design, as you can see, pretty much everything around us. That was IKS. So thank you to that. Check out iksmedia.ca for more information on how they can make your event the hottest ticket in town. We're going to take a bit of a break. We have baseball news, Blue Jay news. We'll update you on the World Series, what's going on there. And we've got to get our NFL Week 8 picks. And I just learned a lot from Jim Lang, so it's probably going to influence my picks in some form and fashion. So we'll see you guys in about 2.5 minutes. Please don't go anywhere. Hit that share button.
And like.
And
subscribe.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Everyday hoop life.
Is it time to take your event online? Bring it to IKS Live. We've got a fully customized virtual event platform with remote guest support for your next fundraiser, talk show, conference, performance, and more. IKS Live offers live streaming to Facebook Live and YouTube and pre-recorded capabilities, both in our studio with green screen available and on location with pre-production and post-production services. IKS Live, the proud producer of The Rod Peterson Show and The Recovery Hour. Visit us at ikslive.ca.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com. All right, it is time for the Great Western Brewing Original 16 Nightcap as we enter our last segment of the night. I've cracked already. I didn't do it on microphone, but...
Oh, you didn't?
I got my Original 16 Canadian Pale Ale, one of my go-tos. Such a good one.
It's a classic.
So we're going to get into it now. We got to make our Week 8 picks for the NFL. But we do have some Blue Jays news as well. Max, we have the Silver Slugger Award nominees came out, or the winners came out. Winners or nominees?
I saw nominees.
Okay, so nominees, but they're probably all going to win. Can we put that graphic up, Rolf? I believe you had it. I saw it earlier. The Blue Jays Silver Sluggers. There should be 5 guys on there. I saw him earlier. He'll find it.
If they're winners, I'm going to be finalists.
Finalists.
Yeah.
So Vladdy, Marcus, Bo Bichette, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and Teoscar Hernandez all nominated for a Silver Slugger. It kind of, like I said it earlier to you, Max, like about you said they swept the Braves. I'm like, does it make you feel better? And like, yeah. Also, this interesting choice I find. So they bolded the last names.
Yes.
They bolded Gurriel Jr. They did not bold Guerrero Jr.
Did they do Junior or did
they did Junior?
They
but
did
not
Junior,
the
but not
Guerrero.
Guerrero. Yeah.
That's an interesting choice. Obviously, the person didn't pay full attention to it.
It's like Where's Waldo of graphics. It's for whatever reason that's the things that get me out of bed.
You've done a lot of graphic design. I've done a bit in my lifetime, and those things do stand out to me.
Yes, they do.
And you often send me videos or graphics, and like, this is trash.
That
And I'm like,
Kraken
Max, you're being a
that
little...
Bleacher Report open ice Kraken one. Oh man, I don't know what they were doing there.
Goodness gracious.
Oh boy, yikes.
But the Blue Jays news outside of that, and we don't have a graphic for you or anything, Rolf, but there's some interesting, the fall ball's going on right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
It's always fun for fall ball when your team's not in the playoffs. You can look ahead to some prospects. And
To the future.
One of the prospects that we're both very excited about, you're very excited about,
Very excited about this
is
kid.
catcher Gabriel Moreno. And he has been lighting it up. I mean, what other words
Lights
can you
out,
use?
lighting it up, going yard, hitting bombs, whatever you want to call it.
He was 4 for 4 today with a home run, I think 2 doubles and maybe a single. I don't know. 4 for 4 today, though. The other day I saw a stat. I think it was him. He didn't swing his bat for the first 3 at-bats, 3 walks. Didn't swing the bat once.
So you could say he's got good awareness around the plate.
Bit of a patient hitter, yeah. Love that. No, don't hate it. But what it's brought up is the debate topic now. And shout out to our buddy Chris Henderson, who's been on the show. Shout out to Craig Ballard, who's been on the show. The trade Alejandro Kirk debate is coming out now. And of the 3 catchers that the Jays platooned last year, Reese McGuire, Danny Jansen, and Alejandro Kirk, you could probably argue that Kirk has the biggest upside, at least offensively. But he showed signs of good defensive play last year, and he's still pretty young overall in terms of what catchers are. That they usually don't go too long in their career, so when they hit their 30s, you don't see a whole lot of catchers over the age of 30 anymore. And the ones that do are usually very, 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 very good. So Kirk, I think he's in his early mid-20s, and he's got the most upside. So do you trade Kirk and keep Moreno as your number 3? And then you move him up in the organization a little bit next season, because he only played AA. He might have played a little AAA last year, but for the most part, he hasn't made that. He's not quite there. There's still quite a gap. And when it comes to catchers, and I think our buddy Chris Unschreiner would agree, the cognitive side of the game is usually the difference between each league. So you can see the guys making steps from AA to AAA to the majors if they can do it up here. And obviously they need talent as well, of course, but that's usually the difference maker. So I don't know, Max, what do you think? Should the Jays trade 1 or 2 of their major league catchers to improve their team in other spots and use Moreno next year?
I think they have the luxury of being able to be patient, right?
Yeah.
We talk about this, and this is where catchers are at. I go back to JP Arencibia. Do you remember how hyped JP was before he came on? And no disrespect to his career. He did some good things well on the ball diamond, and now is doing great things in the broadcast booth. But for JP Arencibia, this is one of those things where it's caution to the wind. Obviously, no 2 ball players are ever the same, but I don't think you need to keep all 3 catchers. But man, I loved what Danny Jansen did to end last year. I still hold out hope that Danny Jansen could be the guy, and Gabriel Moreno can kind of be like that young goaltender in the NHL, where you can give him 2 years of that every 3rd or 4th game, allow him to develop properly.
Give him one starting pitcher to really focus on.
Absolutely. Instead of thrusting him into the spotlight, because it is going to be a transition at the major league level when he inevitably gets there. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen very soon. I'm fully steadfast in my belief on that. Yeah. But when it comes to Reese McGuire and Alejandro Kirk, I think you got to hold out for the right deal. This is one of those ones where catching is at a premium, and while these guys may not be starting catchers on quite a few squads across Major League Baseball, they would definitely earn playing time in a lot. So depending on what you can get, I mean, the Jays hold all the cards here. Having depth at the catcher position is an absolute luxury in Major League Baseball. And we all know it. Again, we know it going back to last year. Injuries happen, right? You sometimes need 2 or 3 guys deep behind the dish that are capable in order to keep your season afloat. So I think the Jays hold all the cards here. It's going to be a very interesting winter to see what they want to do. But in terms of improving other areas of the club, I mean, what do you necessarily get for guys that are maybe going to play 65, 70 games to the teams that they trade them to? I guess you see what market develops for them over the offseason, and we're going to see it happen over the next few weeks as the World Series ends. So, again, I just like the spot that the Jays are in. They have a young, potential prodigal son catcher in the wings, and they've got 3 capable ones at the Major League level right now. It's just a great spot to be in if you're a Jays fan.
My cousin Jamie is watching. Shout out to my cousin Jamie.
Hey, Jamie.
And this is also a shout out indirectly to our design team at IKS Media.
Wonderful.
Jordan, can you give put the camera on Max?
Oh,
my cousin Jamie just asked, are those real beers in the fridge behind you guys on your set? I thought he was talking about the one that I'm currently drinking. So I'm like, yeah, this is real. It's not just like water in a can that I'm drinking. No, this is a real one. It's delicious.
But those ones.
But the ones behind Max, again, shout out to our friends at IKS Media. They look real as hell. It's a green wall behind Max. It's there it is. Thank you, boys.
The facade of live television. There it is.
Now you know.
Now
the curtains
the more
are dropped.
You know.
We're the Wizard of Oz now, and
the curtain literally dropped there.
Oh, the one and powerful Wizard of Oz. And we just dropped the curtain, and now they know that we're just frauds. No, that fridge is not full of real beer. But we do have a fridge full of great Original 16 and Great Western Brewing products.
As Nelly would say from The Longest Yard that I most recently watched on the weekend, there goes the neighborhood.
There goes the neighborhood. I mean, the illusion's gone. I don't know what we're going to do after this. But I thought that was funny because I thought he was referring to the one I had in my hand. But he was referring to the one on the
That is most definitely real.
This is definitely real. One question from our friend Katie Fleury. And when you say Katie Fleury, you have to say her full name.
Absolutely.
I don't know if she's still watching, but she says, Max, do you have new stickers for me? Because I know you said
I have new stickers.
You're going to maybe have some available for her.
We can make availability happen.
I have most of the block you gave me still. So maybe I could talk to Katie. Katie, if you're still here, I have some stickers that I'll give you because I have some extras. Max gave me this big sheet that I put a bunch on my car. I put some on my laptop, as you can see, the back of our laptop here. And I still have 7 or 8 on there. So I can talk to you about that. I don't know if she's still watching. But anyways, Sheridan Davis says, there ain't no meatloaf between these buns. I don't know what that quite means, but I like the reference.
That's The Longest Yard, man.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Thank you. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I hadn't either, and I watched it, and I returned to 2005 when I thought it was the funniest movie ever. It's funnier now. It actually is. It's one of those ones you took a break from it for an extended period of time. One of the best sports movies of all time.
It's solid.
I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching The Longest
Now that you
Yard.
started talking about your teeth hurting, my teeth started hurting. I don't know why. I don't like it, man.
Jinxed it.
Is there anything else on the Blue Jays specifically that you want to get into tonight? Because, I mean, it's kind of the slow part of the season.
It is. You know what? I kind of want to turn the attention. You know what? We obviously talk about the Jays a lot, but I'm just really excited the World Series is here. This is where again, with as painful as this season was, we've talked about it many a time, I can still always tune in for the World Series. I didn't want to see the Boston Red Sox go any further. I'm very glad that they're eliminated, but I'm very happy to see the Atlanta Braves return to the World Series. Again, this is a team to root for. There's so much Blue Jays connections to it. We talked about Alex Anthopoulos. Again, without Canadian lead ace Mike Soroka and Ronald Acuna Jr., this is just a team to root for.
Canadian Freddie Freeman.
Pseudo-Canadian Freddie Freeman. Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, it's a team to cheer for, and I'm really glad that they're off to a hot start. I think they're going to need it because those pesky Astros, they always find a way.
The Astros are proving everybody who called them cheaters and called them, a lot of things over the last couple of years. They're proving that these guys are still really good baseball players.
Gave them a bit of a galvanizing factor, as they say in the industry, Clark, a galvanizing factor to go out and say, we're still good baseball players. So okay,
they're still good.
Astros, touche.
They're still good.
Still should have taken away a couple of, picks or something instead of finding them. I don't know.
Where have we heard that before?
I don't know.
But sort of. Not really, though. But let's give a shout out to our friends over at RBI Baseball.
Please do.
Check out RBI Baseball. If you have kids in the game, if you're an adult looking for an adult league, they got that available as well. Softball league, pretty cool. But yeah, check it out. RBI Baseball. Check out their Instagram. Check out their Facebook. Check out their website. Their newly revamped website, I should say. And at RBI, they rise above the rest. They actually just posted some great pictures. They made some design changes at the facility. I think you shared it. They put
yes, that's right. Yeah, they got the graphic on the wall there. Yep, for sure.
New graphics on the wall, new look facility.
Might have to talk to Chris about doing a bit of a feature over there. I think we might have to get you.
We've talked about it,
I know,
and
but
we just haven't done it.
The time.
Yeah, we need time.
Time is of the essence. So
Director Jordan has literally every day been bugging me about doing an on-location shoot somewhere, and I know he wants to do it. So
absolutely,
maybe we'll get Director Jordan doing some baseball training, and that can be the video.
That could be the video.
How do you think, Jordan? He says sure.
He says he's in.
So yeah, that'll do it for that. Let's move on. She got our Week 8 picks for the NFL. Squad Select.
Stick tap to you. Golf clap for you, good sir.
For me?
2 out of your last 3 weeks, 5-0.
Oh yeah.
This is a new producer,
I'm
Clark.
doing okay.
I haven't
I don't know
seen
what
this.
I don't know what the records are. Am I up on you now?
You're up on me by a game.
Jeez.
Yep. You're up on me by a game. Hey, you have a lead.
This is uncharted
Don't blow
waters.
Don't be like the Leafs. Don't blow your lead.
Well,
Don't do
it's
it.
probably going to happen.
It's in your DNA, I know. But
did we pick a battle game yet?
We did not pick a battle game. I don't even think we talked about it. We usually talk about it pre-show. But
the Packers and Cardinals play Thursday.
I might see again. Jim Lang talked about it though. No Devontae Adams, no Lazard. That's 2 of 3 of Aaron Rodgers' big time weapons. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we can go with the battle game there for that one. I really don't.
The Buccaneers and Saints on Sunday afternoon.
There's a clear winner in that
The
one.
Cowboys and Vikings.
We might have to do like
this is a
we
good
might have
week
to do
for
a bit
picks.
of a toilet bowl.
Oh, you know what?
We
could let's do a middle of the road. We could do the Panthers Falcons. We could do the Patriots Chargers.
Oh no.
We could do
The Patriots are on the rise. I think.
What are the
Justin
toilet
Herbert's-
bowl games? There's a couple.
That
of
would
them
be
here.
your favorite, the Washington football team and the Denver Broncos.
Washington. That's a toilet bowl game.
Absolutely.
I guess.
The Broncos are 0-4 since their 3-0 start.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater, I think he needs to take the glove off. I don't know what
Eagles
he's doing.
Lions.
I can't. Maybe.
Steelers Browns. Let's do Steelers Browns. Division rivalry.
Baker Mayfield might not be playing though.
Really? Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, let's do what one did you say?
Let's throw your boys into it. We could do a
Falcons,
Panthers
Panthers?
Falcons, and I get the pick. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
It's a hard one, actually. I
It's not
honestly
that-
don't know
yeah.
what direction
McCaffrey,
I want to
think
go.
is back yet, so
The Falcons are hot. Sam Darnold is just not a good quarterback anymore.
he struggled a lot.
Sam Darnold has returned, and I'm not going to screw up the order this week. We'll leave it for the end.
Yes, save it for the end.
But I do get the pick,
Falcons Panthers is the battle game. If you want
Yes.
to mark that down, are you marking it down this week?
I could do that, sure.
My cousin Jamie just said, "Tell Zach that Rodgers makes his own weapons." There you go, and it's true. Historically, he
Who's
has.
Zach? Is that me?
I think he meant you, as in Max. But
Nice.
I'm reading the text verbatim. So
Nice. Falcons.
you know what, Zach?
Zach. Galifianakis.
Yeah. Anyway, so you got first pick. Who are you going with? First pick of the litter here.
Oh, boy.
This is actually a nice week for games to pick from. I will
Is
say
it
that.
though? Like
There's a few good
there's
ones.
some in here. Like I think again, we talked about it. You have to go with the Cardinals on Thursday night.
Okay.
If Devontae Adams is not going to be playing, I got to go with the
That's your
Arizona
first
Cardinals. Yeah,
Great.
I'm going to take it.
I'll take you taking it.
You'll take me taking it?
I'm going to take your former St. Louis but current Los Angeles Rams over the Houston Texans.
That's a sound pick.
You've been getting the Rams the last few weeks.
Yeah,
And
that's
they've
all
been
right.
doing really well for you, of
Oh,
course. I'm going to take the Rams this week, and I hope that they don't blow it.
And you're going to hope that they don't blow it.
I'm cheering for your boys, man.
Well, I just saw Jameis Winston on last night play football.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't great. It wasn't awful, but it certainly wasn't great. I just saw Tom Brady against the Chicago Bears. That was a great.
Yeah, like I said with
performance.
Jim, he's pretty good at football.
He's pretty good.
decent at football,
Thomas L. Brady. Yeah, he's pretty good. And by the way, did we mention this? It did come out that the fan that gave the ball back is getting a Bitcoin. So
A Bitcoin?
A whole
One
Bitcoin. Tom
Bitcoin?
Brady negotiated with his partners at his cryptocurrency partners, and they're giving the fan ownership of a Bitcoin.
What was the video?
So
what
that's
was
a
the video
pretty nice trade-off in addition to all the autographed merch that he's going to be
What
getting.
was the video of the kid that Tom Brady gave the hat? Was that just a random kid that he gave a hat?
No, so that kid actually beat brain cancer, and he was
damn.
holding up a sign.
Give
saying
that kid a Bitcoin.
I know, right? Saying Tom Brady helped me beat cancer, and
Oh, that's badass.
the best part about the hat, if everybody pays attention to gear, like we're gear nuts. We love the hats, the
More or
shirts,
less.
and everything. The best part about that hat is it was the NFL's Crucial Catch initiative. So that
Oh.
talking about cancer screenings and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure if it was an autographed hat. Maybe Tom autographed it on the brim, but he went and put it on the kid's head, and it was the NFL Crucial Catch Cancer Awareness hat for a kid who'd beaten brain cancer. So that was an awesome story. Tom Brady, all
Badass.
class, and that's
Yeah,
part of
badass.
the reason why I'm very, very happy taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the New Orleans Saints this weekend.
Okay, like it. Good choice.
The Bucs, I want to say, have been a part of every week that we've done
I think
Squad
so.
Select,
I'm pretty sure.
as they've earned.
I'm going to look a little bit above that in terms of on the schedule itself, and I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills defeating the Miami Dolphins.
That's a sound pick.
Again, the Miami Dolphins, Jim said it, they're baffling at how poor they've been this season.
Mm-hmm.
Rod Peterson was in Florida. He saw them firsthand. And
Get shut out by the Buffalo
he couldn't.
Bills.
He was surprised because he thought too. We all thought the Dolphins are no, not maybe the best team, but they're a solid team, and they just aren't.
It's just
they
the
just aren't.
injuries, man. And Tua Tagovailoa has just not turned
Yeah.
out to be the quarterback that they thought they were getting when they
And
drafted him.
The
as early
Bills
as they
at
did.
home. It's got to be. I got to go with the Bills.
Jordan, can you put the camera on me for half a
Uh-oh.
second here?
What are we
I don't
saying?
think we have the function of
Are
Zoom.
you 6 arrows ranting right here? You about to
This
6
is
arrow
it.
rant?
We're gonna go real local here. Chad Isaac,
Oh,
listen up, my friend.
hey, shut up! This is about you.
This is about you, Chad. Clark, I'm going to declare it right now. The Cincinnati Bengals are good.
Oh, boy.
They are good.
Chad, can you believe it?
And they have a bye week game where they're going to get a result of a victory over the New York Jets.
I thought you were going to pick the Jets.
So
I was really hoping you were going to pick the Jets.
So with the third pick in this week's squad select, I'm going to take my automatic one victory, and it's going to be Chad Isaac's Cincinnati Bengals because they are now good.
Yeah,
I can admit it. I said last week was the test game. They thoroughly stomped on the Ravens. Chad, Joe Burrow's a warrior. The Cincinnati Bengals are good. If they let me down, they now become my Washington football team. So extra pressure.
If they lose to the Jets, you better have a vendetta.
They might not be good
them
anymore.
forever.
That'd be the quickest retraction of team that's gone from very poor to very good, back to being So I don't know. I think it might be a stomping though. Again, doesn't matter if they're home or away. The Jets could be in the comfort of their own homes.
It's in New York. The Jets are home.
It doesn't matter. It could be in Zach Wilson's backyard. The Bengals are still going to stop.
I'm gonna skip ahead a day, and I'm gonna stay with a team based
You're
out
gonna
of
hold this out to the Monday nighter.
Based out of New York. I'm gonna pick the other team though, the Kansas City Chiefs. As Jim said, they are a team that is poised to really break out in the second half, and I think the Giants are a perfect leaping off point for that. That's not the right word. Springboard.
Good one. Good one.
The Giants are the perfect springboard for that. I think the Chiefs are going to come out, stomp them on prime time on Monday night, and move on and keep it rolling the rest of the season.
Well, I feel very happy about this that you left dem boys.
That's fair.
Dallas
Here's
Cowboys.
the thing, though. I saw the game, and I was like, you know what? The Cowboys are facing the Vikings. Every time I pick against the Vikings, they win. So I didn't want to touch it.
That's your trap team?
I didn't want to touch it. They're my trap team.
I don't know. They're coming off a bye. They're rested. They're still a capable football team. Dalvin Cook's probably going to be as healthy as we've seen him all season with the rest. So who knows? It could be one. But, man, Dak and the boys, they just look good. Aren't the Cowboys coming off a bye as well? That sounds about right.
They're 5-1, so
they didn't play last week.
Yeah, that would make sense.
That would make sense. So either way, two rested teams should be a high-scoring affair. Take the over. Keep the change.
Yeah,
all that good stuff. I told you about my bet on the weekend. Hey, that was a fun little weekend Tanner Ring and I had.
Did you win that big one that you made?
Yeah, that's why.
The crazy big one.
That's why I sent it to you.
Yeah, but I thought you were just.
I sent it to you. I even thought about the text.
I didn't know you cashed it out.
I said, as Carrie would say, waiting all day for Sunday night. Yeah. And then I sent you the screenshot of Tanner and my pull from the Sunday Nighter.
Right.
A very rainy affair in San Francisco. Tanner and I, let's just say we're up. We're up.
You made $1 or $2 or more.
Paid for coffees this week.
Okay, so I got to make one more pick here. For some reason, I thought the Chiefs was my last pick.
No.
Okay, I got one more. This is going to be an interesting one because the records show but I'm going to go with the Seahawks over the Jaguars.
Ooh, I kind of love that you took that.
Yeah.
Geno Smith sucks.
I'm doing it.
He is horrible. Can't take it back. No trade backsies. But Geno Smith showed me last night that outside of the fifth offensive snap of the game where he went 84 yards to DK Metcalf, he literally did nothing after
It's in Seattle.
Not even yeah, they were in Seattle last night too. Still sucked.
I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it. Brady Witt.
Yeah.
Your producer, Alan. Your team better do.
I have
Alan a Seahawks fan?
Yeah, Alan is a Seahawks fan.
Alan? Brady Witt?
It depends, though, because there's... I don't know. I saw a graphic. Graphics are fun. Mm-hmm. I saw a graphic today about the Seattle...
Unless they're bad.
Unless they're bad. No, this one was good, though. It was the Seattle Seahawks inside the New York Football Jets logo.
Yeah.
And it said the Seahawks without Russell Wilson and then with... So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe Seattle Seahawks fans are allowed to be fans of the Seahawks when Russell Wilson is in uniform, and when not, then they can just pick every other team because they are a horrible football team without Russell Wilson.
When I look at the rest of the games, there's only really one other one that I would feel comfortable really picking. I know we talked about how the Bears are a mess.
Eagles over Lions?
49ers. Eagles over Lions. But I feel like the Lions are poised to break out at some point. Like Jim said, a lot of their losses haven't been big ones, and they have some talent there, and they have a good coach. Jared Goff is still 10th in the league in passing yards.
It's because he has to throw the ball.
I'm aware of how that works.
Time.
I get how that works.
Okay, watching that game on the weekend, though, and I don't want to disparage Jared Goff too much. I genuinely appreciate what he did for the Los Angeles Rams when he was there. But that pass, when they were in the red zone, they had a chance to at least come close to tying the football game, and he threw it right in the midst of Jalen Ramsey. That play was the exact reason that we traded Jared Goff.
Right.
And we are so happy to have Matt Stafford, who is halfway to Thomas L. Brady's 600 touchdown passes. He secured his 300th touchdown pass this past weekend. So not as big a milestone. Ball's probably not worth as much, but regardless, that is exactly the reason why the Rams traded Jared Goff. So I don't wish any ill will on him.
And the only other game I'm looking at where I'm like, shoot, maybe I should have picked this one, is the Titans and the Colts. I should have maybe picked the Titans.
Titans are streaking.
The way I've seen the Titans, they've had a couple of
Colts are
weird
stingy.
games, and the Colts are good. And again, Jim, he got in my head because he said the Colts are due to have a big second half, and then I got nervous. So I'm going Seahawks.
That's fair. That's a tough game, honestly. DK
Metcalf is going to stomp all over the Jags. Trevor Lawrence won't be able to handle the noise of the 12th man. Okay, pick the battle game.
I'm really happy that you're not going to be going 5-0 this week. I'm really happy about that.
You said that last week and the other week.
I didn't say that last week.
Did.
Come on now. This is actually hard. I don't really want to have the pick in this game because Sam Darnold has been absolute trash for the last 2-3 weeks. Again, love the guy, probably a real nice guy. He's just not been a very good football player like he's paid to be. So it's a fair comment. But
do you want me to crack this on the mic?
Might as well.
Okay, I'm having Max's.
We're way under tonight, by the way.
We're doing good for time. That's why I'm having a second one.
So I'm going to do a soliloquy on Sam Darnold.
No,
Max,
I'm
just kidding.
Since Max isn't drinking at the moment, I'm participating twice.
Good job.
There we go.
That's just a good team player right there.
Well, I'm just trying to help you out,
Yeah. Be safe. Anyways.
I will.
So.
I promise.
The Falcons and the Panthers, I don't know which way to go. Christian McCaffrey's not back.
Nope.
Falcons have won 2 in a row.
They're rolling.
Last time.
Red hot.
Last time I checked, Matt Ryan is still capable.
Unreal.
But.
Kyle Pitts. Legendary.
I know he is unreal. You're very lucky that you have acquired the next generation.
I was going to say Robin Wildy for some reason. Calvin Ridley. Not Robin Wildy. However, I do enjoy Robin Wildy's company. Thank you, Robin, for watching.
For this pick, though, oh, man. I like the ones that are like the premier headliners. It's pretty easy to make the pick.
Yeah.
This could be the difference of 4-1 or 5-0 for me, though. It really could.
Yeah.
I've got to go.
Robin Wildy says, by the way, 1 Bitcoin is $75,000.
Exactly.
So,
and it's only
it's
going,
a decent
it's
chunk
going
of cash.
Up. It's a great chunk
for that
of cash.
Person who had the football.
Absolutely. And it's only going up.
Can I ask a question before you get into
What
it?
is Bitcoin? Because I can't
No,
answer it.
I don't get it, but I'm not going to ask that.
I don't get it, but I do, but I want to get it.
I don't get it, but I should, I feel like.
Right.
Why did the football end up in a fan's hand? Did somebody throw it in the
Mike
stands?
Evans gave it to him.
Evans?
That's why.
Mike,
Mike
come on,
just
man.
gave it away.
Where's the boomer? Come
Gave
on,
it away
man.
like a
Randy
Toronto
Moss?
Maple Leafs lead in a playoff series. Just gave it away.
You got to know that. You've
Well,
got to know
I know
that.
that's exactly what everybody's saying, and especially because Tom hit him 3 times in the game too. It's like, Mike, I just probably helped you cash like a $500,000 performance bonus, and you gave away my 600th touchdown pass ball. But the other thing, I heard a really good point about this on another podcast.
Trade him right now.
But
Mike
so,
Evans.
so that 600th touchdown is cool, but like Tom Brady's going to play till he's 58 years old, right?
Yep.
So what happens when he hits 700? Like, can
Mike
that
Evans
fan
probably
just-
gives the ball to a fan.
Mike Evans might
If
be
he's
able to
still
lead at that
playing.
point, but unless he subscribes to the
That only
TB12
take him 3
method.
more seasons.
Yeah.
100 more touchdowns.
100 more touchdowns.
He could throw
at
33 a year.
He's still got half of this year, where he's probably going to throw at least 20.
He could get that in
Do you
3
think
seasons.
he probably throws 20 more in the last 10 games for sure?
What does he have right now?
I don't know. It's a lot. Regardless, it's like the
600
Ovechkin
total.
goal record. When it gets there, it gets there.
Well, see, he's going to set the Gretzky goal record.
Right.
Like this won't be broken because it took a Tom Brady to get this high.
20 plus years.
It took a Tom Brady.
Like Matt Stafford's the only one with a realistic chance because he's the best. But
I was going to say Matt Ryan.
yeah, okay.
Matt Ryan's going to have to play for like 30 more years to get close
Matt
to
Stafford's
that
going to have to play for like 17 more.
But honestly, realistically,
It's a lot.
I mean, what was the record before Brady even and Breeze? I think Breeze and Manning both broke it as well, right? The previous record.
We have the technology. We
do technically have the technology.
NFL.
Because I'm pretty sure
Touchdown.
Breeze, Brady, and Manning all broke it, whatever it is or was, and they've all gotten to a point now where Brady's just
well, this
still
one
going.
didn't really mean. So Tom Brady now has 602.
Okay.
He roasted Drew Brees like by 30 already.
By
Drew Brees
30?
had 571. So
Yeah,
like this,
but Drew Brees retired.
Drew Brees retired, but
Or is this his first year?
this
where he
is his
hasn't played?
first year
Oh,
in the
okay.
booth. But Still, like,
Yeah.
and Peyton Manning at 539. So, like,
Oh,
Tom's
shoot.
almost beating him by 100.
Well, that's what happens when you just keep playing after Peyton Manning retires. That, but what was it before
but the
that?
thing about Tom
what was
Brady
it before
he's
that?
better
Though?
at 44 than he was
Wow.
at 24. Like, it's insane.
What was it before that?
571 with Drew Brees.
No. Before Peyton. Who's before Peyton? Who did
Oh.
they break?
Who did they?
Johnny Unitas or something like that?
Brett Favre.
Favre.
508. It's
508.
quite a disparity. Hey, you know who's getting there, but he's gonna have to play a lot more years. Aaron Rodgers still
Well,
active.
of course, that makes a lot of sense. So here's what
427.
I'm saying, though. So Tom Brady's at 602, and the previous record was Brett Favre, 100 less than that, essentially.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is on the way to setting a Wayne Gretzky
Yeah.
in 892. And
Oh
this-
yeah.
like
Unbreakable.
nobody's gonna touch this.
No.
Unless you said like Aaron Rodgers, unless he plays like how old is
Matt
Aaron Rodgers
Stafford's
at this
12th
point?
on the list already.
Is Rodgers like 30?
Playing for
What is-
Detroit. Oh,
what
that
is-
hurts that Matt Stafford was in Detroit for
What is
so long.
Rodgers now? Like, is he 30? What is he? 37?
Rodgers is 37 or 38.
So he could realistically play for another 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I mean,
Oh yeah,
he's in good shape.
Put him in
He's
the
one of
cryo
those-
chamber.
He doesn't
yeah.
run anyways. He's very stable.
I don't think
you know.
he subscribes to the TB12 method though. I feel like
Yeah.
he likes to have fun. Aaron
Yeah.
does. He likes to host Jeopardy. He likes
He's a
to
bit
do
of a
all those
looser
things.
guy.
Yeah. He's an
married
owner.
to
He's an
Shailene
owner of the
Woodley.
Bears. He's got other responsibilities
right.
other than throwing touchdown passes.
He's legitimately the owner of the Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks. He's part of that ownership group.
Of course. And I mean, the Green Bay Packers or the Saskatchewan Roughriders, where they're the only community-owned
Realistically,
team in the NFL.
he could play for Green Bay as long as he says, "I'm coming back."
Well,
I don't think they'd
this
ever
last
say no.
offseason kind of maybe.
No, but
It was
if
close. It
if
was
he
close.
says, "Hey, I'm coming back," they're gonna bring him back.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
But
Depends how many. Depends how many quarterbacks
so
they
Tom
keep
Brady's
drafting
what,
in the
44?
first round.
Tom Brady's 44.
44, 45, or 46.
So
He's
7
in his
more years,
mid-40s.
let's say Aaron Rodgers, if he
Could you
could go
imagine
7
if Tom
more.
Brady's playing football when he's 50? Could you imagine that?
I will, and I promise you that he probably will, because he's a freaking he's an alien.
He made a deal with the devil. He had to.
Have I told you about the show that he's
And
in?
the devil is Bill Belichick. Isn't there a special coming out on this? Man in the Arena?
Oh, maybe.
It's a Tom Brady, like...
There's a Paul Rudd show where Tom Brady makes an appearance. Have I told you about this?
Yeah, oh yeah, I watched it.
You've seen it?
Yep.
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't know if it ever got a second season, though. I feel like it's...
Me and Myself or something like that.
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, Tom Brady.
Again, we have the technology.
Yeah, we do. We're making use of the technology tonight. We normally don't.
Netflix scene, Living with Yourself.
Living with Yourself. Okay, if you haven't seen Living with Yourself, for the few people who are still watching after we've gone on a tangent.
Oh, there was a controversy of it, of course.
There was?
Why wouldn't there be?
Of course. Living with Yourself, unbelievable show. Paul Rudd, Tom Brady makes a cameo in the first episode, and it'll change your perspective on why Tom Brady is still so good. Anyways, we got to pick the game here, Max.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We got to pick the
battle
game.
I got off on a
Got
tangent.
a little off the rails.
I took you on a tangent. We just went for a ride.
We just went for a ride, yeah. Much like this football game will probably be. You know what? I'll root with you for your Atlanta Falcons this weekend.
You're going
I'll
to pick
do
my
it.
team?
Matty Ryan over Sam Darnold at this point. I really
Yeah.
hope DJ Moore gets like 15
I was hoping you were going
though.
to spite me instead of cheering with me.
No, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna ride
All
the
right.
grain.
I guess
Yeah.
give me the Panthers then.
Go with the grain.
Give me the Panthers.
instead of against it. This
Go Sam Darnold, I guess.
See, you didn't want them. I know you did.
Well, my Falcons are red hot, and they're going to be they're the team to watch in the second half
Yeah,
of the
until
NFL.
they lose this game 33-10.
Yeah, well,
clip
it
that.
could happen.
Let's clip that because I bet you that's going to be the score.
So there we go. I picked the Rams, Bills, Chiefs, Seahawks, and Panthers. Max went with Arizona, the Bucks, Bengals, Cowboys, and the Falcons in the battle game. So it's going to be an interesting weekend. Is there anything else we need to touch on before we shut her down? I
Hey, did anybody come up with any cool 56s?
No, we didn't get any.
Ah,
People dropped the ball on
guys,
that one.
help us again. We have
well,
the
let me just double
technology.
check, I guess. I don't know if I can
Athletes
scroll
number
back.
56. We're really milking
John
this.
O'Flynn is a 56. He's 56 years
Oh,
old.
well, there you go.
John
that
O'Flynn
works.
says,
That's
I'm
a good one.
John O'Flynn says, I'm turning 57 shortly, saying goodbye to 56.
Well,
there you
as
go.
are we in this episode.
There we are. So are we, exactly. Myron. This is an hour ago, but Myron said, "Good evening, Clark and Max. Speaking of new shirts, do you guys have any SquadCast merch updates?"
The merch updates, let's just say
They're living. They're existing
they're a
in
living,
our
breathing
brains.
embodiment.
We need time, more or less, to get it designed, ordered, shipped, and maybe some cash flow.
You know what, though, Myron? Just
just
hold,
just
Just be by your phone. Let's just say that. Be by your phone because we're going to make something happen for you.
There you go.
We're going to make something happen.
There you go.
Yes.
Robin Wildy says, I love Jordan Love. The Packers will sign Matt Ryan to back up Jordan Love next season, Robin Wildy says. There you go. So we're going to wrap it up. I see that our viewers are slowly dwindling, but that's okay.
That was our best segment of all time, too.
My cousin actually says sorry that he called you Zach.
That's okay.
So there you go. Tomorrow on the Rod Peterson Show, Nick Kyprios. Nick Kyprios is going to be joining us to talk about the Chicago scandal. So we're going to be talking to Nicholas Kyprios. Back with Sportsnet, by the way.
Yeah.
He's no longer on his Real Kipper at Noon show. He's back on Sportsnet with Justin Bourne. Justin Bourne's the guy we got to get on this show.
Little combo.
Put it
I
on
love
your
it.
list.
That's a good combo.
Put it on your list. Justin Bourne, we got to get him.
It's your list. You're the guest booker.
Yeah, but you created the list.
Yeah, I created it for you.
Got it. Next week on this show, this is an exciting one for us. And if you don't know the name, you will soon, and hopefully you will by next week. Julian McKenzie is going to be joining us next week. Julian is a podcast star for the last couple of years. He's been with Yahoo. He's been with CTV Montreal. He's been with Sportsnet. He's been with TSN. He's been with more. There's more companies he's been with. He's been
a very busy guy doing a lot of great things. I'm very excited for this.
He's been
a
freelance podcaster, but he's based out of Montreal. And now, this most important thing is he is the co-host of the Chris Johnston's show on the Steve Dangle Podcast Network. So Chris Johnston, if you probably know the name if you're a hockey fan, he was on Hockey Night in Canada with Elliot Friedman every Saturday night on Saturday Night
He's a knower
Headlines.
of all things in the world of hockey.
He's an insider, as they say. Julian McKenzie is now the co-host of his show. He basically structures the show and then lets Chris be the star. But Julian's right in there as well. Julian's a great dude. He knows his stuff. And we're going to talk to him about Montreal and the rest of the NHL. Probably some Chicago stuff.
Crazy not to.
So we'll get into that with Julian McKenzie next week right
Very
here.
excited. Great
on the
get, Clark.
SquadCast.
Great
Thank you.
get.
I'm very appreciative because the guy he has a lot going on.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the fact that he's taking a little bit of time to join us late on a Tuesday out east, I think it's a Montreal game night too. And he's jumping on
Again,
with us
all
after.
the more appreciative to Julian. This is going to be such a fun talk. I'm very excited.
So you get excited. You guys, we're excited. And we'll see you guys next week here on the SquadCast. For myself, Max Ritz, Director Jordan, Engineer Rolf in the back room. All of our sponsors, they flashed them on the screen a second ago. IKS, RBI Baseball, Hoop Life, Original 16, Great Western Brewery, and Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight.
Do the Steve Dangle thing.
Which one?
For the YouTube followers.
Yes. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. Please tell all your friends. And we'll see you next time here. I think I nailed it.
Maybe the Toronto Maple Leafs will win a game by then. Maybe. We'll see.
They've got 2 games at least. So there's a...
So you're saying there's a chance. Take care, everybody.
There's a 4%
Have a great night.
chance. Bye for now.